our second episode of the WOCA podcast. I kind of went over last time why we exist, and I think I really want to bring it home because we exist to provide women of a certain age with a community, some a support community, if you will, so that we can share our successes, offer ideas and suggestions, and so I think the sky's the limit on what we can do and what we want to do. But I'm so excited today um, to have two special guests with us to talk about dating for people of a certain age. And if you find that you're single and you're searching for your soulmate, I think today's show will really um, open your eyes to what's out there, what's going on, and how to navigate those waters. Because I know that it probably is very overwhelming. I know for a fact that if I were in that situation, I'd probably lose my mind. So before we get started, though, I want to introduce you to my co-host. Um, all the way from the East Coast, we have Sonia. Say hello, Sonia.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Morning.
And then we have Sharita, my good girlfriend, who is in our area.
Good
Say
morning.
hello, Sharita.
Hey guys, how is everybody?
Good. And then we have two very special guests that I want to introduce you to. One is Sharon. She's a powerhouse entrepreneur, getting things done, and she happens to be single. And she's very experienced in this world, and she's going to share her insights and give us some tips and some of her experiences that she's had. So welcome, Sharon, sorry.
No problem. Hello. Thanks for having me, ladies.
And we can barely hear you, so if you can speak up a little bit.
I said hello, ladies. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good to see
And
you.
then next up, we have the male perspective. Gene is also an entrepreneur in the Texas area, and
Sorry,
he
my
will
phone was
bring.
ringing.
I'm sorry.
My phone started ringing. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. Yeah. So Gene's very popular.
Yeah,
apparently.
obviously. People already see him.
So we want to welcome Gene to the show. Welcome, Gene.
Thank
Say
you all
hello.
for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you all.
All right. So let's begin the conversation. So I reached out to my co-host and told them about this Facebook group that I had found. It's called "Are We Dating the Same Guy?" I don't know. Has anyone else heard of this group, Sharon or Jean?
Never.
Really?
I
Wow.
have.
Yeah. So the group's purpose really is to warn women of potential dangerous men on dating apps.
Really?
And so they kind of talk about people who might be cheaters, liars, any kind of toxic behavior like that, but also anybody who's showing like criminal behavior. Um, and I think it's a very useful tool. But I'm noticing as I was going through all of their group discussions that most of them are 20, 30-year-olds. But I did find some men in there who were our age group, which I was very shocked to find because you would think at this age, you no longer play those games. But it's all based on dating apps. So with that being said, Sharon, tell me, do you currently use any dating apps?
No, I do not. In my earlier years, I did, but I found out, just as you stated, there are a lot of those apps are used to hook up, get in, and get out. And when you get on those apps, that's basically what it is. It's a hit a quitter, booty call, as they call it. That's basically what those apps are used for. Yep. So no, at this age, I do not use it.
So Jean, do you use dating apps?
No, unfortunately, I never had interest in using a dating app. I don't think I've ever even signed up for one. So I know, no. I haven't. Now let me go back to the other website. My name didn't show up on that website, did it?
Knew he was gonna say that.
I had
I
to double
knew he
check,
was
make
gonna
sure
say
I
that.
had the wrong
Wait.
spot.
Look, I've been on there, so I didn't come across anybody that I knew. So
There we go.
I
That's
would've
good
told
to
your
know.
picture. I would have told you.
Actually, Jean, I'm gonna be honest. I saw a picture that looked similar to yours.
What?
I was like, oh my God,
Oh, I
is
hope
that
not.
Jean? And you know, a lot of the guys, they use fake names. And so of
Oh,
course it
okay.
didn't say Jean, but I was like, yeah, Jean is out there. But no, it
Well, that
wasn't
ain't
you.
good.
Jean
That
is
ain't good, Gene. I'm sorry. But
Jean
I
is
do
a
respect a lot
common
of people,
name.
though.
Yeah, Jean is a common name. So I guess if I was going to use a fake one, I'd say Jean too. That's a good fake name. It's like James.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I think that dating apps present themselves as an easy way to reach multiple people in a short period of time. And given the fact that we are of a certain age, do you find the value in that? And would you ever consider joining even like the dating app that is specifically for our age group? I think there's one called Plenty of Fish is one for ours, or Our Time. Our Time is the one that's, I mean, it's kind of like, kind of,
I know, it
but
sounds horrible.
I mean, they do have some dating apps that are specifically for our age group. And like I said, I think it's, you know, at our age group, do we really have time to wait it out? And, you know, what are your thoughts on that, Sharon?
I tried them. Well, my last major relationship, I found him on Plenty of Fish. But you know, with these apps and with these dating sites, people are going to put out their representative. You know, you're not going to really be able to find out who that person is until after you really get into the meat of the relationship. And by that time, you done wasted 2 or 3 years. I don't find those apps helpful. I think they're more harmful than anything.
They're more what?
Harmful. I think it's a waste of time, those apps. Now, I have friends that have been successful with them, but me personally, I have not.
What about you, Jean?
Okay, since I haven't had the experience with those apps, one of the things but what I've observed is those are not really centered toward our age group, because our age group is a person-to-person mentality. And it takes a lot of people out of their comfort zone. The other part is you don't find the type of men that you really need in those type of apps. And I say that because some things that'll struggle for some people is you don't see their transparent nature. You can, if you meet someone, you can see how they actually are compared to what they type or what they put online. Because you can hide behind a lot of things on an app or on a Facebook page, and you don't really get to see the character of what someone is and what they do on a day-to-day basis by looking at a posting or an inbox for someone.
Can I just say too, Gino, you touched on something that's really critical. I think for me and what I'm hearing about catfishing, and Sharon said it, sending your representative, I think people take too long on dating apps to really do their due diligence. Like the internet, right, is a wall. And you can sit there, you can send any picture you want, you can filter it any way you want, you can say all of these glowing things and wax poetically and probably are a total illiterate. But I think people spend too much time online. As somebody who's a researcher by profession, backgrounding people, people take too long to actually have real experiences with people. Now, I know a lot of people that use online dating. I would hate to have to navigate those waters, but if I had to, I would say, oh, we're going to have some real experiences, meaning some real phone calls. Like there are people that go months without actually talking, or they're talking, they think they're talking, without FaceTiming. This is what I really don't understand. How do you, and if anybody's seen Catfish, has anybody ever gone like months of talking to somebody and never having a FaceTime?
That makes no sense to me. Why would you do that? First of all, I'm very, very visual. And if you're not good on the eyes, your teeth are bad. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could talk to me and have the best whatever. And then your picture shows up. I can't imagine.
I mean,
And
go ahead, Gino.
a part of our nature and part of what some men are about, we are a physical nature mentality. But in our age group, you remember over 50, you're at a point where everything you did and everything you've done all your life has been about touch, feel, explore, visualization, and because that's how we were taught. Younger generations grew up with a computer in their house. And so they have learned how to navigate from 4 or 5 years of age. When they're in their mid-30s, their mid-40s, all they have done is been online.
That's true.
We have to go outside and play. And so
Yeah.
there's a difference in interaction and what we need in interaction. As you get older, you still want that interaction. You don't want anyone that's going to be a online friend. We want someone that's going to have dinner with us, that's going to watch a movie with us, that you can have a physical touch and a real conversation, because we're not just in it for the physical part, but we want the mental and intellectual part that comes along with it.
Hi,
Look at
Gino.
you.
Where are the rest
I
of
got
you?
one left. I'll practice that.
You must have wrote that down, Gino.
That was deep.
Yes, Gino.
So,
I did
This
my
is what
running,
the
man.
women want, Gino.
I did.
that was deep, but very true. And
Mhm.
so that tells you right there that I know you and Sharon are good friends,
Mhm.
and I've known Sharon for 100 years. But it tells you that there are still some good guys out here. I have a lot, I'm trying to count them in my head, but I can't. I have a lot of single sisters and sister-in-laws,
Mhm.
and they are phenomenal women, very independent, great jobs, some retired several times, never been married. Never been married.
Okay, can I just insert, and this statistic has even baffled me even before this topic came up. But I don't know if you guys have heard, and specifically with Black women, there's this statistic that this narrative that 70% of us will never marry. 70% of us will never marry. And so just, you know, in doing a little cursory research for this show, I revisited that statistic. And what I found was 70%, and I don't want to break down the statistics because I don't remember, but 70% of us in a certain age group have not been married. However, I find the one interesting and uplifting thing is that they're saying that once you move towards 50-year-old women are getting married. Black women get married later in life. So what I'm interested to know is twofold. Sharon, are you finding that there are available men in this age category? Because I would logically think that most 50-year-old men are probably married. You don't want to really think about them as being, you know, widowers or whatever. I'm a second time around, so maybe they're coming out of one situation and going into another. But the statistic says that you're more likely to get married as a Black woman when you're older. So how do you experience the dating world as a 50-year-old? And do you find that there's a lot of Ginos out there in the world?
No, there are not a lot of Ginos out there. Unfortunately, I get approached by a lot of married men, you know,
Oh,
and it's sad to say, you know, they're married for one, two, they're still playing the game. They're still out there. So they know that it's probably one man to 10 women. So they're going to try to fill, you know, every aspect of it. If I can get this woman, you know, she doesn't have a man, so I can probably get about 3 or 4 of her. And they're still out there trying to fill their, you know, wild oats. Unfortunately, it's not a lot of Ginos out there. And I'm twice divorced, and I've just come to the realization that I'm okay with not getting married again. I'm okay with not getting in a relationship, because now I've learned that if I love myself and I can be alone with myself, I can be happy by myself. I don't necessarily have to have a man to make me happy.
Can Gino explain what a 50-plus-year-old man needs with multiple women? What can you do at this point for multiple women, please?
They can't even
Okay,
last a
let's-
good 2 minutes. So I don't know how they gonna, you know.
Well, I mean, come on now, y'all better stop playing, Gino. Please,
Right.
Gino, explain for your mankind.
I can't explain for all men, but what I can tell you, let me address it in two parts. I'm gonna come back to the multiple dating. Let me go back to the first part of what you were talking about the 70% of women, Black women, who are at a certain age who have never been married. If you look at your generation and our generation of women and our time period, you all went to college and were encouraged to be more independent than any other generation before you all. And the other part of that is a lot of you all have come out of single family households, and you are instilled with this independent mentality, which is extremely powerful and gifted. The second part of that process, and where the struggle comes, is that men have a natural tendency to do 2 basic things: provide and protect. And as you become a parent, and as you're a natural father, or you get in that role of being parenting, and you get married, or if you go through a divorce, that innate substance of being a provider and protector, one has already been taken away from you, because you're no longer a provider to anyone, and no one needs you as a provider. The second part is you're only a protector when she needs for you to be a protector. Does that make sense? And let me give you a quick example. I have dated some women who, in my past, who love for me to check on them when they are on their way home, or when they get off of work, or make sure they're all right that next morning, make sure that life is good. Except when they want to go out with their girlfriends, you might not hear from them 3-4 more days after that. But now, as a protector, you are worried that something has happened to them, but now you look like, oh, he's too jealous. He's too controlling.
Interesting.
It's not controlling.
Oh, wow.
I never thought about that. Interesting.
Me either.
But that's one thing. So now men are shying away from that type of individual. The other part is you can't provide for someone, or you can't be a provider for someone who has everything. What are you bringing to the table? And so some men struggle with, you got to be real secure about your home that's 2,400 square feet, and you're dating a woman whose home is 5,400 square feet. Right?
yeah.
Wow.
And that's a security issue as a male. Am I good enough? As my conversation, and I can't provide, so now I have to go and make sure I can do the things that can provide that can keep them intellectually stimulated, because I can't buy them anything, because they have already bought everything they want.
Wow.
The second
That
part
is
of that,
phenomenal. That was it.
I
That
practice
right
that
there,
one too.
amazing.
Let's go back to the multiple dating.
Why do you
It's
do
not-
that, Gino?
Why do we do that? it is because we want to make sure we're with the right person, all right?
Mm.
Just like women, but you all remember, the woman chooses the man. We are a naturally a part of being a hunter. That's why we have to ask permission to go out with you. But the other part of it's not multiple dating. It is making sure that you're choosing to give your time to the right one. And as an older person, again, I got to make sure our conversations are going to be right. Right? I may be a good person, but the person I'm talking to may not. We may not have the same interests of same kind. So until you can find that person that does that, you might go through 2 or 3 dates. Now, here's the other part that you got to realize. Y'all don't understand that we don't multiple date in a week, right? Here's why. Basic math. Going on a date with someone is $150 at the
Easy,
start.
easy.
I knew that's where you. I knew that was where you were going.
That's
You
right.
have 3 in a week, you done dropped $450 out of your budget. And as a self-employed person, you have to be cognizant of where you going and who you spending your time with. Because I don't go anywhere where I'm not going to enjoy my time, and I don't let anyone pick up the check. So I got to be really conscious of where I go and what I do. So
Gino,
in dating in this
I
season,
need your number when this is over. I got some people I think you would be great for. I'm
Wait a
telling
minute.
you.
Gina, I'm single. No.
Hey, Siobhan, he's looking better now, isn't he?
Hello. We have 2 beautiful single people here today. What y'all doing later?
I understand.
You know,
You know, I feel like you have really hit on some really interesting observations as it relates to women, Black women in particular, that are our age, because I never considered the dynamic of growing up in a single house with the expectation, yes, you're going to go, you're going to get a degree, a college degree, you're going to be independent. You don't need no man. I heard, you don't know how much I heard that. You don't need no man. You do for you. You make sure you got what you need. And if you get a man, then that's gravy. But the fact is, you have to be independent. You've got to make your own money. You have to be educated. So the expectation for all of that was really high. The marriage and all that stuff was, yeah, okay, yeah, you do that, but after a fact. So
And can I add a piece real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Now, compare the number of really successful women that you know versus the number of men that went to the military and or never went to college or never completed college. There are a large number of men who work every day, work hard, but because they didn't get a degree, because they don't work at a bank or they don't wear a suit and tie, they are automatically excluded as a potential mate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
there's a struggle that a lot of men who want a good woman, but have to settle for women who are easier than others. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And that's
You know,
unfortunate because like you said, Cassandra, we've all been kind of brought up and I would say almost in a sense brainwashed because, and it is, I mean, when you're continuously told that over and over and over again, of course it was for a great reason. Your parents wanted the best for you. But what you find is, and I think that's true, when you've been told you have to, be independent, you don't need a man. And Lord knows I tell my daughter that enough and she's not with anybody now either. So maybe I'm not doing her any real good. But being said, you have to learn how to, I don't even know the right word to say. You have to learn how to compromise. And that's a better word. Compromise because your expectations are here. And if that guy doesn't do that, then you're like, oh, well, I'm not gonna put up with that. He's not good enough. And then you just have moved yourself out of a group of so many available because you think and your expectations are so high. And even at 50, I have friends whose expectations were the same as when they were 20. And I'm like, that's not realistic. You
No.
need to
Not,
change
oh
your-
my God.
That
Right.
is, you
That's
ain't gonna never
sad.
have nobody.
And what's interesting, the interesting piece that you pointed out, you're already teaching your daughter how
Yeah.
to raise their expectation. And what the interesting part is, she may have met someone that was amazing, but she was more worried about living up to your expectation of the type of guy
Wow.
she could bring home.
Yep.
Okay, now
And
you
they're
preaching
not,
now, Gino.
they're
That's
not the same,
true.
and it
That's
may
so
not be
true.
the same type of man that you would
1,000%.
want, but he may be a great entrepreneur that's has a passion for what he is doing. He may be a barber and may be the best barber he could ever be, but because he doesn't have a college degree, she has to let that go, because she has to figure out, who can I bring home to my parents to meet? And the other part that I think women have to understand, and men too, don't worry about where you meet someone. You have to be open and honest about, you know what, I can meet someone anyway. If they're approaching me, I should be able to say, you know what, let me find out if this person's real or not. I can remember a young lady I dated. She passed away a while back, but she sold me my car. I met her in a car dealership. You know, it's where it was the fact that we were open to having a conversation and getting to know one another made it easier for us to move forward. And sometimes we think that you got to be at a certain place, you got to get here, you got to go there. You can meet someone anywhere. Met a young woman standing in line at a what's it called? Avis rental car. She was standing behind me. Come to find out, we were on the same flight coming back, and we sat next to each other, had the greatest conversation over 3 hours. You know, it's just where you are and taking advantage of the opportunities when you meet someone, and be willing enough and open enough to introduce yourself without any restrictions and not any judgments.
Can I say something? One thing,
Yeah.
there's a difference between compromising and settling. So we as women have to understand we don't have to settle for anything, meaning we don't have to settle for a man verbally and physically abusing us. We don't have to settle for a man that have multiple women. So we have to make sure there's a difference, and we understand that difference between settling and compromising just to say we have a man.
Right. Exactly. And the
I
other part
also
is,
think
you
that
go ahead.
I also think that when you have certain standards for who you are interested in or would settle for, not settle for, but accept and bring into your life, I think that as you age, your standards change. They don't lower, but they change. Because I remember when I'm on my second marriage, and transparent moment. But when I was my first marriage, I waited until I was a little older, and everybody around me, when you get married, I'm just like, I don't know, and so I ended up lowering my standards and married the next guy who gave me a ring, and so that was bad. And so the next situation, when I met my husband, he was not what I would consider on my standards. Like he was older. He wasn't 6'4". All the things that I said, this is what I have to have. He gotta drive a Porsche. He didn't have any of that stuff. So I think that, and now we've been married 30 years. So I feel like this is a successful marriage. Even though my standards changed, I think that sometimes you have to look at your standards and maybe reevaluate, what is important to me now? Like, does he really have to have a 6-figure income? Does he really have to have a 5,500 square foot home? I think it's more of, will he treat me right? Will he treat my kids right? You know what I mean? So
And you're absolutely right. And even as a male, our standards of what we're looking for changes. And at this season in our lives, one of the things that you got to realize, I got less time in front of me than I had coming. So
Oh yeah.
my mindset is, I have to be at peace with where I am, but I also got to realize, you know what? I need every now and then to have someone I know is going to check on me, that's going to be concerned about me, that I can grow old with, that I can go I can go places with. But the other part is I got to know their character. Who are they? What are they really about? What is an important piece? What makes them tick? And have they gotten to the piece, and are they still in a I got to get it all mentality and work and trying to strive to move forward? Or are they at peace with where they are in their lives? And are they ready for the second half of their lives?
Gino, do
No?
you find that most men your age, are you looking, now, Cassandra just hit on the checkbox of what most women, the mistake that most women make, and they look for that guy who's driving that certain car, has that certain job. A man in his 50s, is he really, you might be an exception, but your boys, are they really checking for women in their 50s, or are they chasing, like you said, what's behind you? Are they looking for what's behind them, which is their youth? So they're searching for the woman in her 20s. They're searching for. I feel like that's what are you not you, but your peeps. What are they really looking for?
My peeps. I don't know them all, but what I've come to understand is there are certain things that have happened in our age group. One, large number of men this is their first time really being single for a while. And so if you imagine around 45 to 55, you have kids that are now leaving the house, and now divorce is rising. For our age group, a lot who've just recently got divorced, and so now this man is back out there in what they call the streets.
In these streets,
and he's trying to fulfill an emotional gap as well as a physical gap, and so a lot of times it's a lash out process. But the other thing is, there are a lot of younger women who like the stability of what that old man looks like. So it's not he's chasing them, he's accepting them more. I hope that makes some sense.
it does.
Because I just to be supposedly transparent, I've known a lot of young women from any age, from 38 through mid 40s, who, if I shave, I look young. I don't look 55ish.
My husband.
But they will approach me and want to have a conversation. They want to be in a relationship. Because there are two things I said at first: provider and a protector.
That makes a lot of sense.
That becomes something that they're striving for, especially if they didn't grow up. We still have this father figure image, and we fill a gap for a lot of those women. So to say that the men have a choice with someone who needs them and who needs their safety and their security, compared to a
younger woman.
Compared to a woman who's in her 50s, who's really secure about who she is, but he has to also be secure about who he is at the same time. And that becomes a tussle, because he's back out on the streets, and he doesn't know what his identity is about.
Sharon, are you willing to date a younger
No
guy? And so that's a deal breaker.
It's a deal breaker for me.
Really? Are you willing to date other races?
No.
Although your pool is getting
it's small. It's very small. It is. Yes. It's very small. I'm so afraid of dating a younger man where, I don't know, it's just something in me. I feel like, I'd be a pedophile or something, Now I will say this, years back, I did date a guy that was in college, and, I had already had a son, and I felt like I was robbing him and it wasn't fair to him because he hasn't lived. He didn't have any kids. So I had to break it off because I didn't want to hinder him from living his life because I've already, had a kid. I've already been married. I didn't want to rob him of that. And we're still friends to this day. And he just got married. He finally told me, I couldn't wait for you any longer. But, it is what it is. Although, our men have given me heartache and pain, I don't think I will be comfortable enough to date outside of my race because I'm fearful that we may get in an argument and he may call me one of those names and everybody get to go home early. So I don't want to have to worry about that. So yeah, I don't have a lot of things to pull from. Like Gino said, I'm on the other side of, I got more days behind me than I do in front of me, but I'm okay with it. It is what it is.
And I'm very clear. My age range of women that I date is apparently now very wide.
What is it, Gino?
For me, it's over 40
Oh,
and under 60. Because I know some 60-year-olds, I know some 60-year-olds, and so it's open and it's a wide range. But
and do you date other races? Are you
do
open?
not. I do not, believe it or not. I believe I got way too many there are too many amazing Black women out there that I don't have to step out.
Gina, I'm single.
All right.
Gina, sing the devil. I love your tea, by the way. Sharon, I love your t-shirt.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let us see with that.
Single.
So cute. Very
That is cute.
I thought it was appropriate for the episode.
Very
Absolutely.
appropriate.
Yes, for sure. So I want to find out from Sharon and from Gino, just give us a high level list of what it is you're looking for in a mate. Sharon, you want to go first?
Gino touched on it earlier that the person has to be secure with who they are in their life at this time. I have ran into a lot of men that have been in competition with me. They have to be confident who they are, where they are in their life. I don't want anybody I have to compete with. I don't care if you have to sweep the floor, you driving a trash truck. As long as you're okay with where you are in life, we can make it work. But I don't want to have to compete against you.
Makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Gino?
I guess I go to they let them tell it, I'm active in my church. And so someone she has to be spiritually grounded where she is in her faith, whatever that faith that may be, and understand that is an important part of where I am and where my life is about. The other part is, because I am an entrepreneur and I own my own companies, they have to be supportive through the good and the bad. Because when you work for yourself, there are some up days and there's some down days. There's some days, some weeks, the invoices don't show up until not 30 days later, but 60 days later. And so you have to have understanding that as a support mechanism, it's not always about financial support, but it is being there, understanding that there's going to be some struggles, and are they willing, as the song says, to go through the rain? Are they ready to go through the storm? And you'll be amazed that there are a lot of people who just don't quite grasp what going through that piece is. And then we have to be able to conversate and do things that we both like doing, and not feel that there is a expectation to go outside of what's normal for them. That they can be comfortable with who they are, but also be comfortable with understanding that this is Gene. He's set in certain ways, but like I've always told people, there's the 10 rule. There's the two things that are absolute no's and the two things that are absolute yeses. But that other 6 in between are really negotiable. That can you compromise through that season?
I love that.
I do too.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
great.
Gino.
I had my one day. As I work.
Gino, you missed your calling. You should have been a
A counselor or
counselor, marriage
Mhm.
counselor.
I did.
These
own a
are some life
counseling
coaching. These are some life. Some life coaching is going on
center.
here.
Just be transparent. My mother was a counselor, and I owned a counseling center for
Yes,
about
you did
5
say.
or 6 years.
We
And
can
for
tell. I'm sorry.
and
I
for
can
the
see
first 20-something years of my life, I worked as a social worker, and I helped a lot of families and a lot of individuals
There you
get through difficult seasons in their lives.
Look,
I
y'all
can
need to
see.
put Gino on here more often.
No,
Right.
yes, Gino,
He's
you need to
dropping
come.
some
You need to
tea.
come back because I feel like there is just so much more that we can say on this topic that hasn't even been touched on. But what I really
Yes.
want to ask is, it's interesting that that neither one of you are on dating apps, which I assumed everybody who's dating. I figured that's. I told my 70-something-year-old mother that if you're looking for somebody, you have to be on an app because this is the way people are dating nowadays. But finding that you guys are not doing that. Gino, you did mention that you're having organic experiences where you're talking to people in just everyday life. You're in church. You're looking behind you and greeting the person at the car rental line or on a flight. But how are people meeting people? Is it the way we met people? Because we're not at the bar, we're not at the club every Friday night like we used to be. How are you guys meeting people? How do you extend yourself?
Well, I have been trying to go out a little bit more often outside of golf, but I don't know. I guess I just have this unapproachable look about me that people don't approach me. Now, I do get a lot of DMs in my inbox on Facebook and IG, but I don't pay that any mind. I don't even
They
entertain.
slide into your DMs, huh?
Now go back to golf because I'm thinking
No, you would think that.
if you're out there golfing, that there are now, number one, golf is a very expensive sport from what I'm hearing. I hear it costs a lot to get out there on those greens.
But there's a lot of knuckleheads out there too. They
Really?
know how to golf too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
knuckleheads out there.
Gino, I know how to golf. Gino, I golf.
So you guys,
She does
so
know
you're
how to
not so
golf.
you're not meeting people on the golf course? Like,
I mean, we are. You can. But again, it's still you meeting that representative. Once you get to know them, like, let me leave you on in the fairway because, buddy, your mindset is totally different than what I'm on. We're not on the same level.
Remember, there's a lot of married men out there too.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't want to do
Well,
that.
be it that I am a golfer and I do play, and we play with like I met Sharon playing golf, but we have a lot of single women who come out to play, but they come out because they enjoy the game.
Yeah.
But when it comes to where you meet them and where your opportunity to put yourself in a position to meet people, it really is finding things that you're comfortable doing, even if it's everybody goes to eat. And it's not hard to sit at a bar and have a meal and meet someone while you're sitting there. It's about having a conversation and getting to know someone. Or, for example, there are times at church I've met a woman or two at my church, but that doesn't mean that we've had a long-lasting relationship. But it was an opportunity to engage and get involved with someone, and or get involved in small groups where you get an opportunity to find out what that character, that person's really like. So there are opportunities. For example, golf.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, I'm sure you just gotta put yourself out there. You're not gonna meet anybody sitting in the house.
That's
Now,
right.
mind you, I sit in the house a lot, but let me also be transparent. Before I turned 50, I was a very active, I enjoyed listening to music.
yes.
Let me say it that way. Not that I went to the club all the time, I just said
Right.
I enjoy listening to music. So I would go out and listen to a lot of bands and a lot of opportunity. And I did meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I really went out. But as you get older, 9 o'clock, you get sleepy.
Oh yeah. 8:30. 8:30.
I thought it was just me.
Be on his way home, talking about I gotta go. I'm getting tired.
Yeah.
Because I'm about to fall asleep right here at the bar.
It's like Cinderella and the Pumpkin at 9, 8:30. I got to
Time
be
to go.
home by
Now,
8:30.
hey, that's why there's a new thing that I love called day parties. If it could happen at happy hour and I could be home by 8, great
Yes.
day.
I
Great
just
day.
told someone they're losing the market of our group, which we have disposable income. Our money is good money.
Yeah.
But because you don't have bands that start until 10 o'clock at night,
Yep.
and I got a buddy who calls me all the time, come listen to us play. Man, y'all know y'all start too late. Y'all start till 10:30.
Yeah.
If y'all played at 7, I mean, but y'all, they missing
called
that
a
moment
matinee.
of being
Yeah.
able to enjoy that.
Yeah, they need to go back to the old matinees. Yeah,
Matinee,
aging
yes,
myself.
Well, hey, y'all, this has been an exciting conversation. And like Sonia said, there's so much more to uncover. There's so many more discussions to be had around this topic. And I really, really appreciate the male perspective on this from Gino. I mean, it's very interesting. He's a very deep brother, but I really appreciate the insight that you shared with us. Also, Sharon's insight. But I would really like to address it again if we can at another time. But for now, we're going to have to cut this one because we all have lives, and we have to squeeze it all in, but before 8:30. But I do want to say that, Gino, I hope that this podcast will bring attention to you, because you are a good person from what
Okay,
I can
I
tell.
don't need any more attention.
I think he had, I don't think, yeah, I don't think he's,
Oh, Lord.
I don't need y'all's help.
You know
Gino
what?
said he did not come on here for dating.
Okay, well, listen.
No, I'm
You
good.
say-
Let me work that on my own. I can figure it
There's
out.
somebody else to do it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Gino,
I got
you
that.
could
I'm
also
just-
you could
I
also
need nobody
spread
else. I can
you could also
already hear
spread
the
our
drama
message.
coming through my
We-
goddamn Facebook.
You could help us spread the word about what we're trying to do here.
Okay,
And
just
Sharon,
don't link me in my name in, because you will get some more people that will. No, we don't need my name.
we're gonna
will,
link
I
you
will
in.
share the link, but I will. No, don't. I need them.
He
let
said
me-
he
when
does
they
not
go-
want to be on that list, on that that email, that Facebook. He don't want to
So-
be that group.
Gino
So
said, don't
apparently-
tag him. Don't tag him.
We have a rock star amongst us
Look
who
at
don't need our help.
my-
But we appreciate you being here. We appreciate
welcome.
everything that you've shared with us. I love the transparency, and
Yes.
this was really, really fun. And now I know if I find myself single for whatever reason, I kind of have a little bit more insight of what I should do, what I shouldn't do. But if you're watching this, please make sure you leave a comment or a suggestion in the comment area. We'll definitely respond to you. And subscribe to our podcast. We really are excited about the future of WOCA style. And
It's 11 o'clock.
Thank you so much for everything. And goodbye, everybody.
Thank you all for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, it was a
Thanks for having
pleasure. Thank you both. You guys, y'all were
It was
great. We really
great.
appreciate it. Yes, definitely.
Awesome discussion. Yes.
It really, really, really.
Hopefully
was.
we can come back.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.